I'm going to answer basically one research question. At the heart of this study lies a compelling question. How did Bangladesh recalibrate its foreign policy following the domestic rupture in July 2024? The uprising marked a turning point, not just politically at home, but strategically abroad. Theoretical framework to analyze Bangladesh foreign policy realignment, my research draw on a dual theoretical lens. One is new classical realism, and another one is small state theory. New classical realism helps bridge the gap between international systematic pressures such as great power competition and domestic level factors like elite perception and legitimacy. My time is very much short, so I'm not going to discuss much more. So why July 2024 is matter? You know that political rupture, legitimacy deficits, and we have observed the external assurance and strategic autonomy imperative. So it is very, very vital, important for us to discussing, to exploring research before and after of 2024. I mentioned that strategic hedging strategy, that the July 2024 uprising stands as a watershed moment in Bangladesh domestic and foreign policy landscapes. Internally, it disrupted political authority, exposed legitimacy gaps, and triggered elite fears about regime stability. These developments necessitated rapid recalibration of external relationships. I mentioned that Bangladesh, after the 2024 uprising, Bangladesh took the stance of strategic hedging, not the alignment with any country. So what we see, engagement with China. So in this context, we have seen that China emerged as one of Bangladesh's most significant post-uprising partners, with over 2.1 billion committed infrastructure investment. Beijing positioned itself as a cornerstone of Dhaka's economic recovery. These funds targeted strategic projects in energy, transport, and logistics. On the defense front, negotiation around J-10CE fighters signaled a diversification away from legacy supplies, reflecting Bangladesh's intent to expand its options and reduce vulnerability. These shifts also included military exchanges and training programs that integrated China further into Dhaka security ecosystems. Engagement with United States of America. Bangladesh post-2024 outreach to United States focused on enriching its security profile and cautioning economic vulnerabilities. This highlights of this cooperation was the Tiger Shark joint military exercise, which emphasized interoperability in maritime security and counterterrorism, key priorities for Dhaka's defense agenda. On the economic front, the US played a stabilizing role through expanded trade ties and food security agreement, particularly for weight buffering against global shocks. This engagement demonstrated pragmatic cooperation rather than a strategic dependency. Importantly, Bangladesh maintained its strategic independence. The absence of formal alignment reinforced a hedging posture, reaping the benefits of US cooperation while retaining flexibility. It also sent a message to internal and external observers. Dhaka remained engaged with the global order on its own terms. We have seen the Pakistan reapproachment. Bangladesh engagement with Pakistan in 2025 represented a diplomatic reset with deep symbolic and strategic implication. After years of frostly ties, the two countries undertook high-level diplomatic visits, breaking a long-standing impasse. And economically, the reactivation of the Joint Economic Commission revitalized trade discussions, particularly in textile, agriculture, and logistics areas of shared interest and mutual benefits. More than economics, however, this move carried regional significance. We have seen India's repositionings after the 2025. And we have seen the Turkey defense industry tech transfer. Turkey has emerged as a valuable strategic partner for Bangladesh in the post-2024 landscape, particularly in the defense sector. This cooperation includes procurement of drones, armored vehicles, and maritime assets, reflecting Dhaka intent to diversify its military dependencies. Crucially, Turkey model offers more than arms sales. It includes co-development and technology transfers, which is central to Bangladesh's ambition to develop indigenous defense capabilities. This distinguishes Turkey from traditional partners who offer limited sovereign control. This relationship with Turkey and Bangladesh also resonates symbolically. It connects two global South nations through mutually beneficial non-hegemonic ties, underscoring Dhaka's broader strategies of diversification and autonomy, building in a complex international systems. So what is my contribution? What is my contribution is, in conclusion, I would like to say that Bangladesh post-2024 foreign policy provides a compelling example of small state strategy agency facing domestic upheaval and legitimacy loss. The country resisted failing into alignment traps. Instead, it pursued a hedging strategy, balancing great power and regional actors to extract development, security, and diplomatic gains. This case not only enriches empirical understanding, but also contributes to the theory of small state theory. It synthesizes new classical realisms, focus on elite perception with small state strategies of autonomy, offering a powerful framework for analyzing post-crisis foreign policy behavior. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammad Imran Hussain Ansari, for his wonderful presentation. Now I would like to invite for presenting the paper Abu Saleh Sekandar. Please come and present your paper. Assistant Professor, Jagannath University. And titled Diploterrorism, the Arakan Army and Bangladesh. Is Arakan Army a dark horse of the geopolitical game of South Asia? And thank you, audience, and good afternoon to you all. And I also thanks to co-chair and my distinguished discussion, Professor Dr. Tariq Muhammad Taufikur Rahman, Professor Political Science Department from Russian University, and Dr. Mohammad Imran Hussain Ansari. He is also presenting the paper. And now is, as discussion, 2 sessions. Thank you to all. Which department? Abu Saleh Sekandar. You from Jagannath University? Just please mention your department or discipline.
Sorry for the technical problem.
Thank you.
My name is MD Abu Saleh Sekandar. I'm an assistant professor of Department of Islamic History and Culture, Jagannath University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Title of my paper is Diplo-Terrorism, the Arakan Army and Bangladesh. Is Arakan Army a dark horse of the geopolitical game of South Asia? You can see the map of the Rakhine state. An ethnic armed military organization, the Arakan Army has fought against the Myanmar army across the Bangladesh-Myanmar borders to liberate Rakhine since 2009. This liberatory force claims that they are fighting to ensure, safeguard and promote the national identity and cultural heritage and to achieve the self-determination of the multi-ethnic Arakanese people. However, their attitude towards the Rohingya are not peaceful and inclusive. The Bangladeshi government's main concern is to return Rohingya to their home. Thus, Bangladesh maintains cooperative relation with the Myanmar Junta and the Arakan Army. Additionally, the Bay of Bengal is a hub of geopolitical conflict among major powers, including China, India, the United States, Turkey, Russia. For this reason, they have to need the Arakan Army's immense power to spread their influence in the region. Due to military success against the Myanmar army, the Arakan army has already achieved remarkable attention from superpowers. Additionally, the big brothers have geopolitical and economic interest in the region. UN also suggested to Bangladesh that the government could negotiate with the Arakan army to open a supply corridor through Bangladesh to Arakan. However, the alarming aspect of the rise of the Arakan army in the region is diplo-terrorism. Already, China has been accused by the mass media of diplo-terrorism in Myanmar by selling arms to the Arakan army. In many cases, the Bangladeshi geopolitical stability depends on the role of the Arakan army. My research question is, how does the rise and amplification of the Arakan army as a potential dark horse influence Bangladesh national security and diplomatic strategies in the evolving South Asian geopolitical landscape? You can see the photo. I instructed and Chat GTP design it. Next, methodology. I use mainly the bibliometric analysis. It is one kind of historical text analysis. So I also use this issue and I show the percentage of my text of sources. I used the newspaper sources, interviews, documentary and reports. And in the case of theories, I used two theories. One is realism theories, mainly the defense structural realism, DSR, and another is regional security complex theories, RSCT. First, this is the main thinker of the realism theories, Thucydides, Thomas Hobbes, Nicola Machiavelli, and E.A. Scott. And defensive structural realism. So how can I present? Time?
1.5 minutes, right?
Only,
1.5.
only?
Yeah.
Then I have to skip the main issue. This is the another theory, and I will skip the all issue. This is the terminological clarifications. Diploterrorism, it is diplomacy by violence, and another is dark horse of the geopolitical game. And I have to skip, this is the map of the routes of the Arakan Army expansion sources. This is on published article. Another, the ULA governs of Arakan state, you can see the map. And next, key findings. This is, I will, yes, this is. The main interest groups of the region are Israel, the USA, the Russia, Israel armed business, USA geopolitical interest and natural resources, Russia arms business, Turkey armed business and geopolitics, and India Act East policy. Their East policy they are implementing in this region, and China for the Belt and Road Initiative, and also the armed business. You can look the term, I use the armed business. It is important why the Bangladesh, Myanmar region always for the high tension for the us because of the armed business. The main issue, the superpower are involving this area for their armed business and for their interest, economic interest. Due to their different interest in the region, any of the interested states can use the Arakan Army as a dark horse of diploterrorism. So any of the above countries can use the Arakan Army, a dark horse of diploterrorism in the future against Bangladesh. The return of the Rohingya depends on the Arakan Army rather than the Myanmar military junta, because they are controlling most of the Arakan. According to Radio Free Asia, 80% of the land controlled by the Arakan Army. The ethnic community of the Arakan Army also lives in the hilly area of Bangladesh in the near future. This conflict has a considerable possibility of taking a turn into an ethno-national conflict. Therefore, Bangladesh may lose its land in the hands of the Arakan Army, because its hidden goal is to form an Arakan state for its own ethnic groups based on the living area of its own ethnic groups. Just conclusion, I will take the 1 minute. In the conclusion, I recommended some, I have some recommendation. One thing is the Bangladesh government should take a inclusive defense policy for the prosperity of the state, for the security and for the protection of our state, Bangladesh state. I cannot use the our because I am an academician, so Bangladesh state. The Bangladesh government should make relations with the Arakan Army despite the objection of Myanmar, to secure its territory, seas and land, so that big powers cannot use the Arakan Army as a dark horse in their diploterrorism, and to survive and maintain its internal and external security. Friendship is easier than war. The Arakan Army is a realism in the region of the Bay of Bengal, so the Bangladesh government should launch relations with them and should ensure their humanitarian necessities, so that they cannot aggressively move forward to Bangladesh in the name of their humanitarian necessity, and cannot turn into something akin to Somali pirates. So this has possibility in the future. They can turn into a pirates group in the land of the Bay of Bengal. So we will take the Bangladesh government should take the proper step against the Arakan Army to make friendship or anything what they need. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Abu Saleh Sakandar, for presenting your paper entitled Diplo-Terrorism and Arakan Army and the Bangladesh. Arakan Army is a dark horse of the geopolitical game of South Asia. He is trying to show some gaming and consequently some consequences. We know, and everybody knows, Rohingya crisis, not only the geopolitical crisis as well, it is also impact in our country as socio-political and security issues. Anyway, this session is titled Foreign Policy, Geopolitics, Geostrategic Competition and Regional Politics. Now I'm requesting to presenting the paper Naturally, as the best foreign policy role of Bangladesh amidst 21st century geopolitical crisis, and Shupad Ghosh is here. Shupad Ghosh, maybe he's absent. Okay, next, the Bangladesh foreign policy, already Ansari is presenting his paper in title. And then I'm requesting Samim Hossain. Samim Hossain is here? No, not yet. Okay. Then geopolitical rivalry and economic engagement, the effect of Sino-Indian competition of Bangladesh economy. Possibly Sumaya Akhtar online video, it will be presenting on video. And thank you, Sumaya Akhtar.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Sumaya Akhtar Samira, student Department of Political Science at Gopalganj Science and Technology University. Today I am truly honored to present my research work here titled Geopolitical Rivalries in the Bay of Bengal, Implication for Bangladesh Diplomacy in the Shifting Indo-Pacific Order. So let's move to the slides. The global order is undergoing a seismic shift. From a unipolar system led by the United States, we are now seeing the rise of multipolar Indo-Pacific region. And the Bay of Bengal, nestled between South and Southeast Asia, has become a major geopolitical arena. As rivalry intensifies among China, India and US, Japan and others, Bangladesh finds itself at the center of the rivalry. Not by choice, but by geography and strategic significance. The key question is, how does Bangladesh craft a foreign policy that protects sovereignty while leveraging its location? Despite the Bay's rising prominence, the existing literature heavily emphasizes the strategy of major powers. Few studies explore how Bangladesh as a smaller state responds diplomatically, particularly in light of domestic changes. My research fills this gap by assessing how Bangladesh diplomacy has shifted post-2024 and what this means for its long-term strategic positioning. To conduct this research, I have followed two core theories. First, realism, which will help to explain military build-ups, naval rivalry, and strategic dominance in the Bay, and complex interdependence, which will explain how Bangladesh remains deeply tied to all major powers via trade, investment, and infrastructure. And for this research, I have followed qualitative method. Now the question is why the Indo-Pacific matters. Well, the Indo-Pacific now derives over 60% of the global GDP and manages half of the world's maritime trade. And strategic choke points like Strait of Malacca and Strait of Hormuz are critical to global energy flows. With rival naval powers asserting dominance, including Quad, China, and ASEAN states, the region has become the fourth line of 21st power politics. As a literal state in the Bay of Bengal, Bangladesh is deeply embedded in this Indo-Pacific architecture, and its diplomacy must adapt accordingly. Why the Bay of Bengal is really in focus? Well, the Bay of Bengal links the Indian and Pacific Ocean, making it essential for east and west shipping, energy transit, and digital infrastructure. It is surrounded by countries that host 1/3 of the global population, and it sits at the crossroad of China's Belt and Road Initiative, India's Sagar, and US Indo-Pacific strategy. Bangladesh's long coastline, economic growth, and emerging maritime infrastructure place it in a strategic choke point, both a liability and an opportunity. Due to the growing importance of Bay of Bengal, it is witnessing a power competition between major powers like China, India, USA, Australia, and Japan. China spreads its influence in Bay of Bengal through BRI with dual-use port projects in Myanmar and Sri Lanka and proposed infrastructure in Bangladesh. India, through the Sagar and Andaman Nicobar Command, asserted its maritime leadership. On the other hand, US and Quad counterbalance China via joint naval drills like Malabar and the Indo-Pacific strategy, promoting a free and open maritime space. And Bangladesh cannot escape these major powers, it just navigate them. Because Bangladesh holds key leverage in this region, such as deep sea ports like Matarbari with Japan and Paira supported by China. Its maritime boundary victories in 2012 and 2014. Moreover, ambition for a there are lots of dilemma that Bangladesh could faces difficulties like China offers easy infrastructure loans but may create debt dependency. India is both ally and competitor, especially on regional leadership. The US demands strategic clarity, especially on Quad and Indo-Pacific security internally. The civil-military balance in shaping foreign policy can also limit diplomatic agility, and Bangladesh must hedge without being cornered. So, what Bangladesh can do? Based on the findings, I propose 4 key steps. Firstly, Bangladesh should maintain a strategic ambiguity, avoiding rigid alliances. Secondly, draft a clear Indo-Pacific foreign policy white paper. Thirdly, invest in maritime capacity, including naval expansion and blue economy development. Fourthly, take leadership in regional forums like BIMSTEC and IORA to shape, not just react to Indo-Pacific diplomacy. To conclude, Bangladesh stands at a unique crossroad where global rivalry meets regional opportunity. Its diplomacy must evolve from a buffer between great powers to a balancing actor with clear strategic autonomy. By leveraging its geography, diplomacy, and partnership, Bangladesh can secure its national interest while contributing to regional stability. Thank you.
Okay, Sumaya Akhtar, for presenting its good paper, I think so, and we hope so also. And now I'm requesting Mr. Burhan Uddin, his paper title From Domestic Turmoil to Regional Strategy, the Foreign Policy Dimension of Bangladesh 2024 Uprising. Mr. Burhan Uddin is here? Okay. Mr. Burhanuddin possibly is a student of Shahjalan Science and Technology University. Which department you are not mentioned here? Possibly your Department of Political Studies. Welcome you, and now you are presenting your paper.
Assalamu alaikum.
You have only 5 minutes. Okay, you have to finish now.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. I am Burhanuddin from Department of Political Studies, Shahjalan University of Science and Technology, Sylhet, Bangladesh. Thank you for the opportunity to present my paper titled From Domestic Turmoil to Regional Strategy, the Foreign Policy Dimensions of Bangladesh 2024 Uprising. Now I am presenting my paper. At first, this paper examines how the 2024 uprising, while rooted in domestic political dynamics, significantly influenced Bangladesh foreign policy behavior and its regional strategic orientation. The 2024 uprising represents a critical juncture in Bangladesh modern political trajectory, and this uprising emerged from sustained public discontent over governance practices, electoral legitimacy, economic pressures, civil and political rights, and exposed deep structural fragilities in state society relations. This uprising, persistence, domestic unrest directly constrained foreign policy formulation, diplomatic implementation, and internal legitimacy erosion reduced strategic autonomy, diplomatic bargaining capacity, and the domestic legitimacy transformed into a central determinant of external behavior. This paper research focuses central inquiry central questions how domestic political instability reshaped Bangladesh's foreign policy priorities, and analytical approaches, foreign policy analysis, domestic and international linkage, regional security perspective, including South Asia, and conceptual emphasis on legitimacy, regime vulnerability, and external perception management. This paper increased external security, like increased attention from India, China, and United States, and multilateral institutions and external actors assessed political stability, governance capacity, and continuity of commitments, and international security in intensified diplomatic constraints. This uprising managing competing strategic imperatives like Bangladesh sought to balance economic cooperation and development partnerships, security relationship and regional stability, geopolitical alignment amid great power competition, and also foreign policy increasingly oriented towards risk minimization, stability signaling, and diplomatic damage control, and recalibration of regional strategy, like shift toward a crisis responsible foreign policy posture characterized by pragmatic diplomacy, strategic heading, cautious engagement, and regional strategy adapted to domestic vulnerability, South Asia's interconnected security dynamics. The last conclusion and scholarly contribution, the 2024 uprising blurred the conventional boundary between domestic politics, external diplomacy, and forced adoption of a cautious, adaptive, and legitimacy-sensitive foreign policy approach. And the contribution of this paper is reinforces the domestic origins of foreign policy debate, demonstrates how popular mobilization can indirectly reshape regional geopolitics. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Burhanuddin, for presenting your paper. Dear audience, I would like to inform you that last one, Onurima Kalita, before presenting Onurima, just I'm requesting to Mr. Shamim Hussain, just you come and present your paper. He is from Public Administration Training Center and he is Deputy Director at BPATC. And his paper title, Weak Democracy, Weak Institutions, Recognizing the Structural Factors of Governance Failure in Bangladesh. I think it will be also a good paper, and just we have to see now. Mr. Shamim Hussain, just you have to complete your presentation within 5 minutes, please, because we have time constraint. Please.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Respected Chair, this learned discussion, distinguished audience. Welcome you all in our presentation on weak democracy, weak institution, recognizing the structural factors of governance failure in Bangladesh. So, a robust democracy requires strong institution to uphold the rule of law, ensure accountability, and delivering public goods, while strong institution depends on democratic legitimacy to sustain their authority. Yet, in many developing countries like Bangladesh, this vicious circle is disrupted, resulting in governance failure. Despite adopting democratic structure since the early 1990s, the country continues to struggle with fragile institution, politicized bureaucracy, and weak institution, weak accountability mechanisms. So this study uses comparative framework from Deakin et al., Khan, and Mayor Pelisis to examine the structural factors that connect weak democracy to weak institutions. So the central argument is that Bangladesh's government failure is not merely the result of flawed democratic procedures, but of deeper historical and structural barriers. This article contributes to understanding how weak democracies perpetuate institution fragility and governance crises. So as time is very limited, so I'm skipping the other parts like problem statement and discussed there. So the objectives is to examine how weak democracy contributes to weak institutions and governance failure in Bangladesh by analyzing structural, historical, and political economic factors. Based on these general objectives, we have three specific objectives here also. It can be seen. So from the literature review, and we have developed a conceptual framework, and the foundational theories was based on Dickens and Khan's and Pelosi's understanding about weak democracy, weak institution, and governance failure. So weak democracy basically comes from the inadequate democratic norms, elite dominance, and lack of accountability, which is the factor for weak institutions. Like it also creates politicized bureaucracy, fragile enforcement capacity and corruption, weak rule of law, and lack of accountability. These are related with the governance failure, like policy failure, poor development outcomes, and structural inequalities. So based on these conceptual framework objectives, we have the methodology, mostly qualitative approach, and we have analyzed some articles. Those are related with democracy, institutional weakness, and governance failures. And on the other hand, quantitative approach has also been considered, and the survey is ongoing. Here, for qualitative part, we have employed process tracing, is used for identify causal mechanisms linking weak democracy and the institution fragility. So if we just give a brief on the quality findings, these are the factors for the governance failures in Bangladesh, like historical and structural barriers, centralized authority, like elite power concentration, more elite power concentration in the policy framework, and weak rule of law, like we have the law, lack of enforcement capacity to ensure the rule of law, politicization of bureaucracy. We can see the last 15 years that much more politicized bureaucracy is the cause for factorial cause for the failure of the governance, and lack of accountability mechanisms also, and social divisions. So from the quantitative part, as we are conducting the survey, so we have only 20 data here, but we have very beautiful and outstanding findings here. If you see this scorecard, like out of the 25 questions, question 17, which is corruption. So participant highlight the corruption is the most significant factors for institutional failures, and this is also related with a poor policy outcome. And if we see the overall pattern, respondents strongly agree on corruption, politicizations, and weak enforcement as a core governance failure, while views on democracy and historical legacies are more complex. Sir, may I take 1 or 2 minutes more? 30 seconds, okay, sir. So these are the governance failure factors in general. Here are the discussions, and yes, we have a recommendation for the policy maker, for the government, that beyond procedural democratization, we need to focus on enforcement capacity and accountability outside elections, and inclusive coalition among the party systems. And for the transformative state, we need to align institutional design. We need to focus on strategic management also with socio-political realities to deliver both service and sectoral transformation, and again to build inclusive political settlements that prioritize public welfare over elite interest. So based on this presentation, I want to thank you all for your patience hearing. If you have any feedback or query for the development of our paper. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Shamim Hussain, for presenting your good presentation. We welcome also. we know the weak democracy and weak institution is true, but what are the factors and actors to making a weak democracy and weak institution? I think the giant discussion they will mention also. I'm sorry because I cannot give you more time because we have a time constraint, unfortunately. Now is last one, presenting yes.
Am I clearly audible?
I'm requesting Oniriba Kalita already we can see on the screen. Its paper titled Multi-Polarity and the Future of Global Governance, a study of international adaptation and resistance. She is from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and you are welcome to presenting your paper. And dear audience, she's possibly last one, and you have only 5 minutes, but try to finish within the 5 minutes. Thank you, and I'm really sorry, unfortunately, because we don't have more time to give you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Arunima Kalita. I am a PhD student in the School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. And I'm delighted to get this opportunity to present my paper amidst this esteemed scholarly gathering. My paper is titled Multipolarity and the Future of Global Governance, a study of institutional adaptation and resistance. Why it is important to explore multipolarity and global governance in this World Democracy Congress is the fact that what we need today is not just limited to democracy within nations, but also democracy between nations. That is, democratization of international relations is paramount in the present times. The international system is currently traversing a structural transition of a magnitude not witnessed since the collapse of the Soviet Union. This transition is defined by the erosion of the unipolar moment of the United States and the emergence of a complex and asymmetric multipolarity that is fundamentally reshaping the architecture of global governance. This paper, Multipolarity and the Future of Global Governance, a study of institutional adaptation and resistance, investigates the dialectic between institutional adaptation and institutional resistance. Institutional adaptation is attempts by global governance structures to evolve in response to the shifting power dynamics, the shifting distribution of global power, and institutional resistance is the entrenched mechanisms that preserve the status quo for established powers. The analysis reveals that the failure of the post-1945 Bretton Woods and the United Nations architecture to adequately adapt to the rise of the Global South and the resurgence of great power competition has catalyzed a phenomenon of contested multilateralism. This is characterized by the proliferation of parallel institutions like the BRICS Plus, the NDB, the CIPS of China, and the fragmentation of global regulatory regimes. While Western powers often view these developments as revisionist threats to the rules-based international order, the liberal international order, emerging powers frame them as necessary correctives to a system defined by intellectual apartheid and institutionalized amnesia regarding the interests of the rest versus the West. This paper identifies a critical divergence where adaptation is blocked by institutional gridlock. For example, the paralysis of the UNSC regarding Gaza and Ukraine and the stagnation of voting reform at the IMF. Actors are increasingly engaging in competitive regime creation, building alternative infrastructures for security, for finance, and for development. Conversely, where adaptation has occurred, for example, the admission of the African Union to the G20 or the AIIB's alignment with global standards, in such scenarios of adaptation, fragmentation is limited. It is mitigated, suggesting that the rules-based order is resilient only to the extent that it becomes inclusive and pluralistic. The emerging emerging order is not a simple replacement of one hegemon with another, but a move towards entropy and a multiplex world where power is diffused, alliances are transactional, and the universality of global norms is fiercely contested. The central tension in global governance today is a mismatch between the changing material reality and the static institutional architecture. Theoretical literature on institutional change suggests that when rising powers are denied voice within established institutions, they are incentivized to pursue exit strategies or create rival institutions. The current era, the contemporary times, provides a textbook case of this dynamic. Institutional resistance manifests as gridlock, the refusal to realign voting shares to reflect economic weight, and the use of procedural mechanisms to block reform. The most potent examples are the paralysis of the United Nations Security Council due to the P5 veto and the stalling of quota reforms at the International Monetary Fund, IMF. This resistance is often rooted in the domestic politics of established powers who fear that diluting their institutional privileges will accelerate their relative decline. Institutional adaptation, on the other hand, manifests as the inclusion of new members, example, the African Union into the G20, the adoption of new norms by emerging institutions, or the reform of existing rules to include the global south or the rising west. Adaptation is the system's safety valve, allowing it to absorb rising powers without breaking. So this paper argues that the current historical moment is defined by insufficient adaptation, leading to accelerated resistance in the form of parallel institution building. The inability to change, that is, adapt to new conditions, has historically produced the downfall of hegemonic states. The current global governance architecture faces a similar existential risk. The old order, anchored by the United Nations, the Bretton Woods institutions, is currently in a state of advanced gridlock. The UNSC faces a profound crisis of legitimacy and functionality. By 2024 and 25, the body has been described by General Assembly President as the poster child of global gridlock, undermining the trust deficiency in the entire multilateral system. The IMF, again, it is the most recent act of institutional resistance, occurred during the conclusion of its 16th General Review of Quotas in December 2023. The Board of Governors approved a 50% increase in quota to bolster the fund's lending capacity. However, this increase was distributed equiproportionally. This means that quota shares remain strictly unchanged. The decision was a strategic choice by the Western powers to maintain control, but it came at the cost of legitimacy. It signaled to the global south that voice within the IMF is kept. It is directly incentivizing the capitalization of the new development bank and the exploration of the contingent reserve arrangement. However, the World Bank has attempted a degree of adaptation through its evolution roadmap in response to G20 calls for more climate financing. The bank has introduced measures to stretch its balance sheet and leverage private capital. However,
Onirma, please, you have to finish because you already just time is gone. Please.
Okay, so I'll just conclude it. Okay, however, the core shell, so in response, faced with a rigid resistance of the old order, the dissatisfied powers are not merely protesting, but they are building parallel institutions like the BRICS. The SCO is also evolving into a comprehensive security organization for Eurasia. There is de-dollarization, there is building of parallel economic institution to de-risk the global south from Western domination. The middle powers are also doing strategic hedging to build their influence. So the study of institutional adaptation and resistance reveals that the post-1945 order is not merely under stress, it is undergoing a fundamental speciation. The refusal of established powers to substantively adapt the core architecture of global governance has made resistance the dominant feature of the current system. This resistance has functioned as a hydraulic press, forcing the rising energy of the global south and the rest into alternative channels. The result is contested multilateralism, the creation of the NDB, the expansion of BRICS Plus, the development of CIPS. These are not temporary aberrations, but the foundational blocks of a parallel or at least overlapping multipolar order. The presence of strategic hedgers
Thank you very much.
that the future will be a rigid,
Thank you very much for
fluid regime complex
Now you have to
and a
stop now,
pluralistic
please.
multipolar world.
Thank you very much for your
Okay.
presenting your paper. I think audience and discussion, they will make comment. But so far, I understand, just you mentioned the global south and as well as that, the south-south relations and north-south relations and as well as north and south. Just you have to mention the in global context, global south context, Bangladesh and as well as the India and Pakistan in South Asian nations. There is true, we are not still the developed and as well as the developing country, but mentioned sometime we are developing country, but still there is a lot of characteristics exist in South Asian region, especially in Bangladesh and India also. Anyway, I'm not going to more time about this paper, just done discussion, they will discuss about your paper as a whole, which is presenting today's session actually. Thank you all presenters and audience. Now I'm going to request Mr. Ansari. Now he's a, right? Dr. Ansari, as discussion, he will make comments overall, all the papers, this session.
Thank you very much. Actually, the conference paper intention is to present, to get feedback. So it will helpful for me if I read the whole paper to give valuable comment, to develop the further level to publish this paper. So first paper, I think Diplo terrorism, okay. As per my observation, research question is very big. It is, as per my understanding as an emerging researcher, it is beyond the capacity to manage this research question. So you have to narrow down this research question. And you are going to trying to using the two theory. Two theory using in one paper is a little bit challenging. And first thing is what is your main argument? Maybe you are clear, but I'm not clear as a reader, as a viewer. I'm not clear. What is your main argument? Okay, and Sumaya Akhtar, it is a good paper. And Diplo terrorism is a good paper. If you would like to publish in peer review journal, top tier journal will choose your topic undoubtedly. But you have to narrow down your research question and find out your problem statement. It is important. And Sumaya Akhtar also, it's a good paper. Sumaya Akhtar paper is very good paper. I'm actually, what is the findings of this research? As a reader, it's not clear to me. It is important what you want to convey the message. And another thing is Mr. Burhanuddin. Your paper is a good paper, but your methodological interpretation not convince me as a reader, as a normal reader, not a scholar reader. Because when we write a paper, we write for everybody, not for a scholar. And another, Shamim Hussain, excellent paper, mixed method you are using. Yeah, good. But when you are going to say that I am going to do quantitative part, so as an emerging research, my question, what types of tests you are going to do or did? Like, is it t-test you did or ANUVA or ANCUVA? And you have, what is your significance of result? so it is important. I'm not seeing any types of t-test, any results that it is whether it is significant or not significant. If you are going to do a quantitative research, it should be, it's probably, or it's perhaps, it's hypothetical research question is mandatory. So I think it should be take care of this. And Arunima from India, yeah, very nice paper, and it is my area also. Maybe I would like to co-author with your paper. It is an emerging topic, like multi-plurality after the invention of Ukraine by Russia. It is an important subject matter in terms of business, in terms of security, in terms of energy security. Many ways we can explain this paper, but we have to focus on which area we have to publish for this next 1 to 3 years, because after 3 years maybe another reality come in front of us. So thank you very much. Everybody did a great job, but now I am going to hear my part, because my paper is half-done paper, not a full paper. I'm trying to make a good paper for a top-tier peer review journal. My study was qualitative case studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Imran Hussain Ansari, for making good comments over all the papers. Now I'm requesting Professor Tariq Fazal from Russian University Department of Political Science to make comments or guidance overall all the papers.
Assalamu alaikum. Very good day, good afternoon. Already we are on the day and afternoon time from the very this morning. And yes, I'm delighted to listen all this paper from very much different angles, from the different scholars of different arenas. Dr. Imran Ansari, our beloved young brother, from a journalistic life to a scholarly life. Now he is teaching in United States of America, and this is in fact his area. I am not focusing on this area. Perhaps the organizers put my name here to ensure if there is a gap. Okay. Now, so Dr. Ansari has discussed very important issues of the paper. One comment on Professor Abu Saleh Sekandar's paper, that he was mentioning the newspaper data as primary data, primary sources. Newspapers or published items are not primary. Those are seriously and simply secondary items. So we'll have to keep in mind. And on Imran Ansari's paper, this is a very burning and very serious and interesting point of time where we are living in, and he was talking about our the new reality after this 2024 uprising, and how Bangladesh is addressing its new reality, new international relations with its neighbor and international players. He has explored the new ideas regarding Bangladesh foreign policy targets, regarding the relation with Turkey, USA, and certainly the Indo-Pacific relations also, right? So I congratulate all of you, all the paper presenters here, and we have got new ideas, and it will be very very much torch-bearing insights from you people for our academia. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Tariq Mohammad Tawfiqur Rahman. He's from Russian University Political Science Department. Apart from the schedule, please come to the and make your comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I'm sorry because
Right.
I cannot give you more time, 1 or 2 minutes just to make your valuable comments over all the papers.
It's all right. I'm very much happy and honored to have the privilege to speak something, particularly in the shape of comments, but I don't have the capacity to make the comments on various intellectual figures already delivered their opinions and submitted their papers. I am not a student of political science or social science discipline. I was a student of this alma mater, having the background of language and literature. I have got a special passion for history and social science, and that is why I have got a little bit courage to make the comment. What I see in our country, I'd like to confine my speaking particularly in the context of my country. We have achieved our independence more than 5 decades ago. We have already passed as an independent country 54 years, but democratic institution does not have any particular shape to create a certain kind of consolidation. This is very important. As a student of this alma mater, I faced military administration, continued more than 9 years, and as a student activist, we also fought for achieving democracy, but it was not supposed to be done because there is a particular message of independence in 1971. The democracy will be the first priority for the governance. But military intervention we have seen, which created a deadlocked situation, particularly the smooth running of democracy in our country. And not only that, if the neighboring country starts making intervention in the democratic process of the other neighboring small nation, this is a big problem, as we have been experienced for more than 15 years. We had been intervened particularly in the process of democracy by the intervention of the neighboring country. We do not find the same treatment to maintain tranquil border. We did not find exactly independent foreign policy during more than 15 years. These are also a particular complex situation facing intervention exactly to ensure small democracy in our country. So I think that the government of any country should have the courage to introduce independent foreign policy, ignoring any kind of influence. And I fervently believe that in the upcoming election, yes, a democratic government we are expecting. And it is our expectation from the democratic impending government through the election that an independent foreign policy will be established with equal status, with the spirit of independence, with the spirit of sovereignty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farad Hussain, for making good comments. Dear audience, the last one, discussion my beloved colleagues and political scientists. Maybe I'm going to release. I would like to thanks to you all, those who are presenting paper and patient sharing to making a successful this session. Now I'm requesting Professor Dr. S.M. Ali Reza, the political scientist, Department of Political Science, University of Dhaka, to making a more success this session, to make comment overall all the papers. Thank you and welcome Mr. Ali Reza.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I am the co-chair of this session, but I was chalking out my role. Later on, my elder, Honorable Professor Matiunur Rahman, he requested me, you can moderate half of the session, but I delegated the responsibility to my elder. So I enjoyed the sessions. There were 6 out of 7 papers, so far 6 papers are presented here. It was hectic. And unfortunately, because of time limitations, we couldn't, dedicate more time for Q&A. As sir mentioned, this is the heart of this sort of, gathering. But I think the authors learned one thing, rigid maintenance of timing. That is also a big lesson. And a good number of my students also presented in this session. I'm honored and I'm delighted as well. So I should not take more time. I thank you all, and I think we are going to wrap up this session here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. S.M. Ali Reza, for presenting and make a good comments to overall this session. I can see the lot of young scholar comes from a lot of the places overall the Bangladesh, especially I can see more of young scholar from Islamic University. They are also presenting the good paper as well as. Now I'm concluding or finish to this session, and thank you all, and good evening and good health for everyone. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, dear distinguished moderator, chair, and discussants. Also, thanks to the participants. Now, we would like to continue our session. As you can understand, we are having time constraints. We are already half an hour late for this session, but anyway, we have to go forward. Now, our session will be held in public policy and good governance. We'll have 6 papers here. Hopefully